chariots, or their armored vehicles of the time, whatever they might be. The time of Sisera and Yael, they had iron wheels on the chariots. They were invincible. The Jewish people could not fight against an army with iron-wheeled chariots. But they could fight. They could not fight. The Jewish people could not fight against it, but Hashem could. So he made a big rain, and all the chariots got stuck in the mud, and the Jewish people destroyed Sisera and his army. It was a big miracle. We come with the name of God on our lips, confident that he will help us, somehow will help us. Hema, Karu, V'nafalu, they bent and fell. V'anachnu kamnu, we stood up in the name of God. V'nis'eda, then we're still standing. We're stalwart. Adonai Yeshua Melech Yanenu V'im Kareinu, Hashem should save you. He is our King. He answers on the day that we call. Okay. We are in chapter 7 of Zitanya. And we're describing now something that I'm sure you heard and learned from your shluchim, wherever you met them, Chabad, whichever Chabad house you went to. I'm sure they told you about this, that our shlichus in life is to make the world into a godly place. Like it says in yesterday's Hayom Yom, the entry from Yom Yom yesterday is that God gives us physical, materialistic things. He gives us gashmias. Our job is to turn the gashmias into ruchnias. How do you do that? It's easy. Just thank God. Say, thank you, Hashem, for this cup of coffee. Thank you for this wonderful meal. Thank you for this beautiful idea in the Tanya, which I'm learning. And, and by doing that, we transform it, and it applies to everything we do and everything, everywhere we go, how we dress and how we behave and how we speak modestly, quietly, politely, and so on, which may be easy and natural, depending on how we grew up, and maybe not easy or natural, maybe difficult. Difficult things count more, get more points for difficult things. When you struggle, things that come with a struggle are more meaningful. And this way, there's life in everything. Maybe it's hidden. Maybe it's a hidden spark of life within things. And by acknowledging the godliness that this came to your hands, it's not by accident. Whatever gets put in front of you on the plate, that's what Hashem wants you to have. For good or not for good. And by making a bracha, it remains yours for good. Forever. Forever and ever. And this is elevates the godliness in it and returns it to its source. So that when you end up in a certain place, like you're driving, going to the country, and your car breaks down, heaven forbid, or even you stop to look at the scenery, and you get out and you have a sandwich, a snack that you brought with you, and you say a blessing, it says clear in Hasidus, it says clear, that the stones and the earth in that place has been waiting for 5,785 years for someone to come and say a blessing in that place. And you elevate the place by saying the blessing there. There are stories of the Baal Shem Tov who took his students to a certain place, maybe in the forest or who knows where, and said a blessing. They got out, they had said a l'chaim, And in one particular story, they even dug a hole and poured some mashka into the hole to elevate an neshama that was trying to return to a neshama of a Jew who had converted out and had an elderly desire to return to his people and ran away and never made it to civilization. He passed away in the forest, and the Baal Shem Tov came to elevate his neshama. How do you do it? By making a l'chaim, elevating it. So wherever you go, you have to know that there's a reason that you're there to elevate the sparks of holiness that are in that place, waiting for somebody to come and do something holy. They don't want to just remain in mud or stones. They want to be part of Hashem's holy habitation. Okay, and so that's what the Rava says. We have two examples here. Rava says wine and fragrance opened up his mind, and meat opens up your. That's why sages sometimes eat meat, because there's the sparks of holiness in the meat are very powerful. I saw a hand go up with a question.
Yeah.
Shirel.
But sometimes, for example, the last day I was doing the Humash in the subway.
Let's say what?
The last day.
The last day.
I was doing Humash.
You were learning Chumash.
In the subway.
In the subway.
Yeah, but I feel bad because I feel like that's not the place.
It's what?
I feel like that's not the place.
Not the place?
No.
Not the right place for doing that.
Well, there could be a better place, but there's nothing wrong with it. On the contrary, you're having a good impact on the subway and all the people who might cast a glance in your direction. They're seeing this is a girl who believes in God. She's religious. Maybe I should be a little more careful about the way I behave.
You're elevating the subway, no?
Yes, ma'am, but not off the racks.
No. That was on Friday. We were on our way of doing mitzvah also. Very nice.
But
I was in the subway yesterday. I learned Chumash in the subway. I'm very happy because I finished the shir because of it. Almost, not all of it, but helped get it finished. So when page 117, when a person eats and drinks in this manner, that you have a godly thought for what you're doing, then the chayus, the life in the meat and the wine, which comes from klippus noiga. Remember, everything that's permissible comes from klippus noiga. So it gets extracted. That's called birur. Birur is extracting the good from the bad, separating good from bad. On Shabbos, you're not allowed to separate bad from good. So that if you have bones in your gefilte fish, you're not allowed to pull the bones out of the gefilte fish, just don't eat them. You eat the good stuff and leave the bad behind. So that's called avodas habirurim. It's a service of God of separating the good from the bad. In this case, what we're talking about is extracting the sparks of holiness from the food and the wine and the meat and that you eat and drink. And it's separated from evil, and it ascends to God like a burnt offering. That's what happens when you bring an offering to the Beis Hamikdash. You bring your lamb on Passover. It's Hashem, the Beis Hamikdash will be built by then. We'll all bring a lamb on Passover this year. And we're going to eat the shank bone. We're going to eat the shank bone, right? We're going to drink the fifth cup of wine for Eliyahu Hanavi. Now, the fats, the best part of the lamb, are going to be burned on the altar, because the best part always goes to Hashem. And that itself, by the way, girls, is a lesson in how to conduct your day. The best parts of your day should always be for the holy intention. That's why you start off with Chassidus. The best parts of the day should be dedicated to holiness. And the best parts, if you're going in business, before you start a business meeting, you should say a word of Torah. The best parts Kol chaylev lahavaya. The chaylev is the delicious fats of an animal we're not allowed to eat. They belong on the altar of God. And I think nowadays, you can check this out, I'm not sure. Nowadays, the butcher has to remove them for forbidden fats. They go to God, and the meat of the offering you take back to your hotel or your motel or wherever your family is staying, and you have a seder. You have a yontif dika meal. If a person brings a Thanksgiving offering, it's not Pesach. So he makes a Suda's Haidah. He makes a whole Suda, invites all his friends. I'm making the Suda because I was very sick and I got better and I'm thanking God. I'm making the Suda to thank God. So this happens in a mini scale, in a miniature scale, every time you eat and you say a bracha acharena before you get up and leave. Chan Esther. And then what you did is like bringing a sacrifice to the holy temple of God. You get this, Leah? You understand my English? Yeah? Okay. Page 117. Similarly, we're moving on. See this? We are actually moving on. If a person makes a joke at the beginning of the class, that's also service of God, even though joking is from page 1, Tanya. Joking comes from which element in the animal soul? Air, the element of air. And everything is made up of 4 elements, right? Fire, water, air, and earth. So air is just joking around with no point to it. But if you make a joke at the beginning of a class, it's good. Then the class is interested in learning. They're happy. And it opens them up. And if the teacher's really, impressive, and so he's so smart, and everybody's nervous and afraid of him, like let's say the Rebbe came to teach a class, you'd be nervous. People, had yechidus. They couldn't speak in front of the Rebbe. They were so nervous. So the Rebbe had to do something to calm them down. I know somebody, he had yechidus for the first time with the Rebbe. He came to the Rebbe the very first time, and his shliach told him, listen, a couple of things. Don't sit down in front of the Rebbe. It's not polite. Don't sit down, and don't shake hands. Other people you shake, don't shake hands with the Rebbe. Okay. So he came in, the Rebbe rushed towards him and took his hand, shook his hand. He went like that. He didn't want to shake hands. The Rebbe took his hand back again. He said, my shliach told me I shouldn't shake the Rebbe's hand. The Rebbe said, we won't tell your shliach. So a friendly word like that broke the ice. Now the Rebbe could talk to him. Again, a friend of mine told me this story. He was a little boy when his father, famous scientist, Velvel Green, a very famous Baal Tshuva from Minnesota. He was a NASA scientist and became a devotee of the Rebbe. A very interesting story. If you can get a hold of his book, maybe it's downstairs. Very, very interesting. And so he came with his wife after he was committed to. He really fell in love with the Rebbe, and he wanted his family to feel the same way. He brought them to the Rebbe. They had yechidus, his wife and his children. So the Rebbe turned to his son, little boy, and said, "What's your name?" The Rebbe said to him, "What's your name?" And he got shy. He didn't want to say his name. So Dr. Green was very embarrassed. Why doesn't he answer the Rebbe? No, the Rebbe's asking your name. Why don't you tell him? Well, that just made him more shy. Then the father got a little aggressive, started tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Tell the Rebbe your name, David." Didn't answer. So the Rebbe changed the subject and just spoke to the parents. The next day, little David was playing on the lawn in front of 770, and someone threw him a ball, but he was a little boy, he didn't catch very well, and the ball went through the fence onto the front walk, And the Rebbe was just coming in or going out, and he bent down, picked up the ball, and gave it to the little boy. And the little boy said, "Thank you." And the Rebbe said, "You're welcome. What's your name?" He said, "David." And the Rebbe smiled and went on his way. He said he had Yechidus many times in his life. He said the most meaningful was that time. So you see there the power of casual comment. Even a casual comment now, or nonsense, becomes elevated to God because it's part of your service of Hashem. So one time, another example, a casual comment, the Rebbe came into 770 one time, into the office. There was Rabbi Groner there, and Rabbi Groner by nature was a kind of a serious person. And the Rebbe said to him, "Why you look so upset? The Dodgers won last night." We had a team here in Brooklyn called the Brooklyn Dodgers. They moved to Los Angeles. The neighborhood changed. This neighborhood was all Jewish. It was all Jewish, and it changed. And so that's the whole story, how it changed. No. And then it came, the Rebbe stabilized it, and then it now became a Hasidic area, because the Hasidim eventually, one by one, moved in. Now it's very, very hard to get a place to live in Crown Heights. But in those days, the early days, the Dodgers played in Ebbets Field, which is on the corner of, what's it called? Flatbush, Eastern Empire Boulevard, and Bedford. And the Hasidim used to watch the kids used to watch the ball games from the rooftops. And everybody was a Dodgers fan. And they were a great team. They were always in competition with the Yankees. Anyway, so the Rebbe came in and he said, "Why are you so upset, Rabbi Groner? Why are you so upset? The Dodgers won last night." Is that a comment for a Rebbe, a leader of the Jewish people worldwide, to talk about the baseball game? And Rabbi Groner said, "Well, the Groner family have always been Yankee fans, Rebbe. We always rooted for the Yankees." But why would the Rebbe say such a thing? Because this is a casual comment that sort of breaks the ice for more serious things that follow. And similarly, there's a whole section based on this in the Mimer that said before you go to the chuppah, where the Rebbe applies this to why does the chassan come and place a veil in front of the face of the Kala? Because it breaks the ice. Because if he doesn't do this, she's going to be trembling and so nervous that she won't be able to, they'll have to carry her to the chuppah. I remember when my son got married, one of them, and I, being his father, I came in to do this. I came in with him to put the veil in front of on the face of the Kala. She was sitting there saying Tillim, and her hands were trembling. She was so nervous. So he does this very superficial kind of thing, but it establishes a relationship. And similarly, in teaching, we have to first of all establish a relationship. Okay, and here what does he say? He makes a humorous remark to sharpen the mind and make the heart rejoice in God and in the Torah that he's going to teach and his service, because we want to serve Hashem with happiness. Hashem wants happy campers. Hashem doesn't want serious people who do everything right, but who wants to be friends with them, right? And Kamei Shasa Rabbah, and the Rabbah, this great sage, Rabbah was the Rebbe in his time, right? Mital he would make a comment, always make a joke before he taught a lesson. He would make a joke at the beginning of the shir, Techila, and everybody laughed. So that's why we do it. Nice way to start the class. Starts the day off on the right foot. Page 118. So that's how we do all kinds of things in a holy way. Very important. Very, very important. Keep this in mind. This is what we're doing all the time, all the time. You know what they do? The Hungarian Jews, they're very, very religious. So on Shabbos, before they eat anything, something that they like, they say very quietly, "This is in the honor of the Holy Shabbos." We don't do that, but they do. They remind themselves, "I really like this kugel," and they have so many different kinds of kugels. Okay. So on the other hand, now what about ice cream? This ice cream at the wedding, the Viennese table is for the sake of rejoicing the Chassan Kala. I'm going to make one extra dance with the Kala because of this. Page 118 at the beginning, right? On the other hand, however, if a person is just a Baal Taiva, that is, he likes to eat. He likes to eat Zoyle le basar. He likes eating meat. The Seve Yain, and he likes to drink. It's a big problem. A lot of people, young people, especially teenagers, they like to drink. Therefore, the Rebbe made a gezerah. He made a rule. If you want to be one of my Hasidim, you don't drink more than 4 little ounces at a sitting, like at a Verbringen. You don't get shikker. And the Rebbe made that gezerah to see who would listen to it and who wouldn't. But if a person is a glutton, that means he eats and eats and eats and eats, takes seconds and thirds. My sister-in-law, my wife's sister, married a young man from Brazil. And his father told us that one time he was on a plane. In the first class section, they serve very nicely the people who travel first class. So in the first class section, there was a person, he must have been close to 300 pounds. He was really big. And everything that they offered him, he took seconds and sometimes thirds. He really liked to eat. And then the stewardess came around and offered them ice cream for dessert. He said, "No, I can't have the dessert. I'm on a very strict diet." Okay, so he said, what about a person like that? If he eats meat and drinks wine just because of his appetites and his animal desires, then since the animals' souls, in the animal souls, the desire for food is from the element of water, which we learned in the first page. Let's see it in Hebrew, okay? Lamoles taivas gufe. He's doing this in order because he has a big appetite. Nafshe habahamas, from his animal soul. Shehu bechinas yesoid hamayim, which this comes from the element of water in the animal soul, from the 4 elements which we just mentioned, which are fire, water, right? Air and earth. So fire is the element of anger. When you get angry, you lose your temper, girls. Heaven forbid, don't ever lose your temper. Hold yourself in, count to 10, count to 10 again, count to 10 a third time, and calm down. Because when you speak in anger, you might as well get down on your hands and knees and bow down to the chair and do idol worship. Because anger and idol worship are the same thing. Anger is fire, element of fire. And it's also pride, haughtiness, arrogance, conceitedness. These elements of fire. The element of water is gluttony, the desire for good food. So Hasidim train themselves not to take seconds. And I told you the story about this guy, that the Rebbe, he was fasting, and the Rebbe told him, we don't fast. Don't fast. If you want to do that, just leave over 1 spoonful of your favorite food. He said, it's easier to fast all day. When you're in the middle of a meal, you want to finish the plate. So we train ourselves not to indulge in our basic appetites. So the element of water gives rise to gluttony and the desires. Hine, continuing a little bit, al yedei zeh yored, what happens if I give in to my animal desires in eating or drinking, or if I blow my top, or I talk too much, or I let myself sleep in? This is giving in to the negative aspect of these 4 elements of fire, water, air, and earth. I'm depressed, I'm unhappy. Yeah. So then what happens? Al yedei zeh, through this yored hachayis, the life that's in these things, we're trying to elevate that life. We don't elevate it. On the contrary, it drags us down into the klippas to be with it in the klippas. And this life in our soul becomes trapped in the complete evil, in the 3 lower levels of klippa. So that when we indulge ourselves selfishly, we end up being the welcome guests of the 3 impure klippas. We don't want to be there. And instead of wearing holy garments, like we said, when you do a mitzvah, you're putting on holy garments. What are the garments of the soul? What you do, what you say, what you think. These are the garments of the soul. And we want to do holy things, say holy things, learn holy things, think holy things. Not easy, but it's so good. It's good. They're holy garments. These are our garments that the soul is going to wear in the world to come. Remember, we learned chapter 5. What is the soul going to? What is going to nourish the soul in the world to come? That's going to be the Torah that you learned for the sake of God, for Hashem's sake. What is the neshama going to wear in the world to come? The mitzvahs that you do in this world become the clothing, become the garments of the soul in the world to come. Now, in this case, what's happening is that the garments for the soul are impure garments, smelly garments, dirty garments, selfish garments, not garments that you want to take with you into the eternity forever and ever. And the body itself, the person's body becomes a garment to klippa, and the chariot to klippa. That means you become the taxi for the taxi driver, for the klippas. So you're the taxi driver, and getting in the back seat is the 3 impure klippas become your fare. Oh my goodness. But don't get upset, because he goes on to say lefisha, 2 words that are very important. What does it mean, lefisha? Shira?
Hour, like.
Lefisha.
Lefisha.
Hour. Lefisha.
It means temporarily.
Oh.
Just for now. Just for a moment. Lefisha, just for this moment. Because after this moment, you're going to regret it. You're going to feel badly. Oh, wow, I was so stupid. Why did I behave like that? Forget it. Never again. My mother, Alea Sholem, would used to say after a party, I never should have gone to that Viennese table. She would be very upset with herself. So the person does tshuva, bottom of page 118. Yashuv ha'adam v'yachzor la'avedis Hashem. The person realizes he was off course. He got derailed from his goal of serving Hashem, and instead he was just serving his appetites. and he feels bad about it, and so he gets himself back on track. La'avodas Hashem or the Tairasai, to serve Hashem and to learn Torah. Because, now page 119, very important, since the meat and the wine were kosher and permissible, it's possible to redeem them. Next time you eat meat, you have the right attitude. Retroactively, you redeem the things that you did with the wrong attitude because it's kosher. If it's not kosher, then you can't. It's very, very hard to redeem something if it's not kosher in the first place. Unless you do a super, super duper tshuva. We'll come back to that tomorrow. But that's the saving grace. If the meat and the wine is kosher and you have an attitude adjustment, then you can redeem it retroactively. You can change bad into good. But it requires work, and therefore it's called in Hebrew the service of birurim. Baruch atah. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, born nefashos rabos v'chesrein on alkol mashem asma hayes. Okay, girls, now you can't say nobody ever told me. I'm the guilty one. Life will not be the same. Yes, dear. Thank you. Girls. Safe trip, Miri. Yes. Send us with you.
Wow, they look so good. Thank you.
So I need to go back.